Okay. Okay, so now is the question and answers. It's being recorded, so I'm now open for any questions that you might have. Wala si Jonas pala. I'm missing Jonas. Normally Jonas would attend. So clear naman no, how you can get the objective of this session is just how to get the process capability. So first ask yourself, what is the data you're dealing with? Is it discrete or is it continuous? If it's discrete, it's quite easy. You just compute for the DPU. If it's continuous, then you have to get the CPK. CPK is quite easy to determine. You just need to get the specification limit and get the average and the standard deviation. And once you do the CPK, there is a table where you can get the DPMO and you can get the sigma level. Okay. So directly on point now, you can say, oh, my process is operating at 2 sigma. My process is operating at 3 sigma, or my process is operating at 6 sigma. But it's quite rare actually to be encountering a process that's really operating at 6 sigma, unless it's a process that really require very high accuracy and sometimes, for example, in the medical industry, where there is little room for error, sometimes your process needs to operate much higher than 6 sigma. But for example, if you are in a hotel industry where you're dealing maybe with turnaround time to clean the room, or you count the number of customers that you give on time accommodation, then you have the flexibility to operate lower than 6 sigma, because you don't expect your customer to die. If let's say you provided the room, let's say to your customer at 2:15, when you say the target is 2 o'clock, and let's say you offer the room to your customer at 2:15, your customer won't die if it's late by 15 minutes. So it can allow that little bit of error. So it depends on the process that you're dealing with, where you can really be, achieve the kind of sigma level that you would want. Okay. Questions?
Sir, I have a question po.
Go ahead, Vince.
Yeah, this is not entirely about the topic for today, but I just want to know, sir, upon knowing the process capability,
Mhm.
yes po, of something, like after knowing na, oh, hindi siya it's not operating under Six Sigma or whatever, do we get to know how to make it at least achieve almost Six Sigma project on
Okay.
the latter part of the session?
So the thing is, again, I go back to the definition of Six Sigma. So the first, there are 2 definitions of Six Sigma. So the first definition is a description of a process. And when you say your process is operating at Six Sigma, it's operating at a near perfect situation where you only have 3.4 defects per million opportunities. So that's the first definition of Six Sigma. The second definition of Six Sigma, it's the methodology or the step-by-step approach in dealing with the problem that you may encounter. So you might apply Six Sigma in your process without really achieving a Six Sigma situation, okay? Because reaching Six Sigma in some processes might be quite difficult. Like if you are in a training process, for example, if you're dealing with HR forms where it's manual and it's prone to error, chances are it's really tough to achieve Six Sigma. However, your project can be considered a success if there was a difference. This was the baseline, okay, and you improved it using Six Sigma methodology. It is considered a success, even though you haven't achieved the Six Sigma performance. Okay, so it depends on your process whether you would want to achieve for Six Sigma performance. So in your case, Wins, if you're talking about a training process, it's highly unlikely that you will achieve Six Sigma level kind of a status. But at best, your project can do some improvements as long as you first establish the baseline. What was your baseline to begin with? And once you do the improvements, what was the result right after? Hopefully that answers your question. You can have a follow-up question if you need.
Yes, sir. Sir, thank you so much. Another thing is that Yes, sir. So upon knowing that this process is not really undergoing Six Sigma, on the latter part, sir, do we get to identify exactly uh how to give solution to this particular problem?
Yes, that's a good question because right now we are still in
Yes
the
po.
measure phase. So remember, we are going through the different phases of Six Sigma. So we first started with define. We're now in measure. So in measure, when you move out of measure, you are able to measure the current baseline or the current baseline of your process. And after that, we go to analyze. This is now we try to understand how we can improve the process or what are the causes that's leading to the pain that we are feeling. And then in improve, that's when you do the improvements that you did. And actually in control, we try to validate if the improvements we done are good because again, we will measure the process capability. So this is where you will measure whether improvements have been done. Ideally, the new process capability will be much better than your previous process capability.
Okay, sir. I got it. Thank you po.
Thank you. And so we are still in measure. The next session that we have is analyze now. Because we have established the baseline of the process, we now go to the analyze. And by the way, okay, again, this might create some confusion. Normally in Yellow Belt, sometimes the problems that you are encountering is not actually a Six Sigma project. It's more of a JDI project. It's a just do it. You know what the problem is, and you can just immediately implement the solution. But in some cases, you don't know what the causes are. So in this case, you would have to follow, the Six Sigma methodology in terms of approaching. You describe what the process is. In measure, you need to quantify the pain point, and quantifying the pain point is describing that process, whether in terms of defects per unit or if it's continuous data, what is the CPK. Okay. Other questions? Karen? Question? Hannah or Glenn or Anton? By the way, let's all welcome Anton. I've invited Anton to join the group, so we really welcome you and here.
Thank you. Thank you. Catch up pa ako, catch up.
Sure. So we are in company of friends here. Not other questions before I close the Q&A. Lana? Okay. Actually, the good news is the mathematical part is for Yellow Belt is over. So that's the most mathematical part of the Yellow Belt. So the rest will now be quite easy to digest from a math standpoint. Okay. That's the reason why I actually had to break down measure into 3 components because it's really heavy in math. By the way, but a warning though, if you go to Greenbelt is really, really very mathematical now. Even in analyze, it's hardcore math because you will be doing statistical tests of hypothesis. In improve, you will also be doing mathematical in terms of the improvement. But that's for the green belt. Okay? But what the yellow belt does is provide you the tools for, the quick wins, the low-hanging fruits that you can easily adapt to your process. But at the same time, it gives you a foundation so that if you decide to pursue green belt, it gives you a good foundation to pursue the topics for green belt and black belt. Okay, so with that, I'll end the session. I thank you for your time. There's a question. Okay, there's a question before I. Do we have to go through green belt before doing black? I've met people who immediately went to black. There are some people who, they're starting from yellow belt and proceed to black. However, it would be a good foundation. I really encourage to go first with green before you go to black. Because, it will be too much info overload if you immediately proceed to a black belt training. Okay, so with that, I end this session. I'll be posting the video in YouTube. And if you have any questions, you can always send me a message and I'll see you guys on Friday. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.